John, are you ready? Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting Tuesday, April 7th, 2009.
I collected more than half of these signatures, and most of the people thank me for doing it. And I thank them for showing their love for the town of Wells. I ask you to place this on the ballot June 9th. Thank you.
I hear that some people think that the rights-based ordinance is illegal. It is my understanding that only the courts have the power to make that decision. In the case LeMay versus the town of Berwick, the court ruled that once the people have spoken, if what they want as a local ordinance is somehow illegal, that would be resolved in the courts. It is not the role of selectmen or the town's attorney to stop the will of the people because they interpret the outcome to violate law. Only the courts have that power. Please, put the rights-based ordinance on the June 9th ballot and let the people decide if they want local control of their water resource.
The ORC meetings were a dog and pony show, with Nestle Poland Spring water bottles displayed on the table until Wells resident expressed his outrage. On February 11th, at Mr. Gosby's invitation, Nestle sales representative Mark Dubois gave the ORC a 45-minute corporate sales pitch on selling bottled water. Also, Selectman Spiller has been seated at the table during all of the ORC meetings, freely pushing his agenda of selling our water under a regulatory ordinance. Mr. Spiller's role was to act as liaison between Selectmen and the ORC, not as a representative of a bottling company. Due to obvious self-interest, I would like to ask Selectman Spiller to recuse himself from tonight's vote to place the rights-based ordinance on the June 9th ballot.
I'm also in favor of a rights-based ordinance because I feel that once Nestle gets into Wells, there'll be no stopping them. All over Maine, citizens have said they don't want this to happen. They don't want Nestle expanding their operations. They don't want them sucking the water out of our land and selling it all over the world. I urge the selectmen to pass this rights-based ordinance and listen to what their constituents want.
My concerns is that I'm wondering how the information goes from the planning office to the ordinance review committee. There have been 40+ emails, and I have a copy of them, that have been sent into the town, and possibly some letters. Did the ORC members receive these copies? If not, why not? And who made the decision to censor the information? Was it made to sway the decision of the ORC? Was this information and possibly other information withheld from the ORC? The people have spoken with petitions, emails, letters, and editorials. The people expect you to do what is right.
I'm a member of the Ordinance Review Committee. I'm here tonight because I have grave concerns about the possible adoption of a rights-based ordinance. And my concerns revolve around two aspects of it. And I'm going to read very briefly from the ordinance itself. Section 4, no corporation shall engage in water withdrawals from the town of Wells. Section 7, any violation of this warrant article shall be considered a criminal summary offense. Now think about this. Most businesses these days are incorporated for a variety of good reasons, including the separation of personal and corporate liability, and for the favored tax treatment that is afforded under our current tax code. So a lot of businesses are incorporated these days. Now, if you have a family-owned business, perhaps having been operating in the town of Wells for generations, and they have for generations extracted water and used it responsibly, under our Section 4 and Section 7, they are now criminals. And I don't think that many of the people who signed the petition in favor of a rights-based ordinance intended that.
Yes, Poland Spring did come to our meeting. They made a presentation. So did KKW. So did Save Our Water. Quite a few people spent quite a lot of time presenting information to us. We had to try to sort it out to see which way to go.
The constitutionality of the rights-based ordinance can only be decided by a court of law. It cannot be decided by lawyers. It cannot be decided by selectmen. It must go to a court of law.
And I was looking at the Southern Maine Regional Water Council and the study that they presented on February 3rd to the governor, and they talked about a lot of things, but it was like a 300-page study. And they talked about looking at the water in the Saco River and Sebago Lake, because that while existing local water supplies appear to be adequate for the near term, additional water will be needed to support further economic growth in the region. So my question is, if they're saying we have enough water now, but in the future we're not gonna, why are we even thinking about letting people take out water when we might need it ourselves?
And I was engaged in that LeMay versus Berwick litigation, which made clear that boards of selectmen and state legislators are not justices of the law. It's not their purview to interpret the will of the people. It's not your purview to interpret the will of people, but it is theirs. We decide, the people decide what is law. This is a rights-based ordinance which offers you protections from the kinds of litigations that Freiburg is experiencing, that Rangeley had experienced and will likely continue to experience. This is unheard of in the history of the legal system, that you would assert your constitutional rights as people against artificial people, such as these large corporations that are no longer American-based. There's a big difference between what used to be Poland Springs and what is now some large multinational corporation that does have investor state protections from global trade agreements that were negotiated outside of the purview of Americans. We have had no say in those global trade agreements. Congressman Michael Michaud is now asking Congress to review those for that very reason. We need to eliminate these investor state clauses which usurp our state and federal constitutional rights.
And basically, this is a fairly recent thing to come to my attention. And when you look at the fact that if you do begin to regulate things, you're already assuming that it's going to be done. That's one of the problems of going into a regulatory mode, is you're setting up the rules for water extraction.
747 signatures, and the town clerk's office certified 448 signatures, of which 425 are required.
I feel that it's against the Constitution. We have the right not to forward it.
I think the Town of Wells, the people of the town, the voters of the town, should be able to chime in on this. I think it's much more important than to have 5 people sitting up here make the decision. I respect our town attorneys implicitly, and there undoubtedly are, as with any law, some imperfections perhaps. But in the course of the vote, those could come out. There's going to be pro and cons put forth by the voters, and all these issues will come out, and the voters, will then weigh the pros and the cons and come up with the best collective decision, I feel.
I'm also in favor of the rights-based because I feel that I was elected to represent my constituents, and that's the bottom line.
I'm very disappointed in the rights-based ordinance in that I think it takes it goes way beyond what I hope people are trying to accomplish here.
Please educate yourselves to what this is really about. Read the propaganda at celdf.org. And please, when you read that material, also read the ordinance that they propose. I strongly believe that most people signed this petition without ever reading the ordinance. And if they had read that ordinance, they would have realized very simply that it's not constitutional, and it's not designed in the interest of the town of Wells. It's designed in the interest of organizers for a change to the Constitution.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? 3-2.